Burusho people. History. Prior to the modern era, the area in which most Burusho now live was part of the independent state of Chitral. The state was a hereditary monarchy, controlled by the Kara dynasty and headed by a Murra title usually translated as king. In 1947, it became part of Pakistan. The construction of the Karakoram Highway during the 1970s brought more extensive contact with the outside world. Many traders, preachers, tourists, and others had new access to the Burusho's homeland, and this subsequently altered the culture and local economy of the area. The Burusho are known for their love of music and dance, along with their progressive views towards education and women. Hunza. A widely repeated claim of remarkable longevity of the Hunza people has been refuted as a longevity myth, citing a life expectancy of 53 years for men and 52 for women, although with a high standard deviation. There is no evidence that Hunza life expectancy is significantly above the average of poor, isolated regions of Pakistan. Claims of health and long life were almost always based solely on the statements by the local Mir king. An author who had significant and sustained contact with Burusho people, John Clark, reported that they were overall unhealthy. Clark and Lorimer reported frequent violence and starvation in Hunza. Upper Hunza, locally called Gojal, is inhabited by people whose ancestors moved up from proper Hunza to irrigate and defend the borders with China and Afghanistan. They speak a dialect called Wakai, which is influenced by Burushaski and Pamiri languages due to the closeness and contact with these mountain communities. The Shina-speaking people live in the southern Hunza. They have come from Chilas, Gilgit, and other Shina-speaking areas of Pakistan. Jammu and Kashmir. A group of 350 Burusho people also reside in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, being mainly concentrated in Batamala, as well as in Botraj Mohalla, which is southeast of Hari Parbat. This Burusho community is descended from two former princes of the British Indian princely states of Hunza and Nagar, who with their families migrated to this region in the 19th century AD. They are known as the Botraj by other ethnic groups in the state and practice Shiite Islam. Arranged marriages are customary. Since the partition of India in 1947, the Indian Burusho community have not been in contact with the Pakistani Burusho. The government of India has granted the Burusho community scheduled tribe status as well as reservation, and therefore most members of the community are in government jobs. The Burusho people of India speak Burushaski, also known as Kajuna, and their dialect, known as Jammu and Kashmir Burushaski JKB, has undergone several changes which make it systematically different from other dialects of Burushaski spoken in Pakistan. In addition, many Jammu and Kashmiri Burusho are multilingual, also speaking Kashmiri and Hindustani, as well as Balti and Shina to a lesser extent. Genetics. A variety of Y-DNA haplogroups are seen among certain random samples of people in Hunza. Most frequent among these are Ronayan and Artua, which are associated with Indo-European peoples and the Bronze Age migration into South Asia c. 3000 BC, and probably originated in either South Asia, Central Asia, or Iran and Caucasus. Artua, unlike its extremely rare parent R2, Ronayan and other clades of haplogroup R, is now virtually restricted to South Asia. Two other typically South Asian lineages, haplogroup Hone and haplogroup L3 defined by SNP mutation M20, have also been observed from few samples. Other Y-DNA haplogroups reaching considerable frequencies among the Burusho are haplogroup J2 associated with the spread of agriculture in and from the Neolithic Near East, and haplogroup C3 of Siberian origin and possibly representing the patrilineage of Genghis Khan. Present at lower frequency are haplogroups A3 and East Eurasian lineage and Q, P, F, and G. DNA research groups the male ancestry of some of the Hunza inhabitants with speakers of Pamir languages and other mountain communities of various ethnicities, due primarily to the 124 marker defining Y DNA haplogroup R2, which is present. However, they have also an East Asian genetic contribution, suggesting that at least some of their ancestry originates north of the Himalayas. No Greek genetic component among the Burusho have been detected in tests. Influence in the Western world. Healthy living advocate J.I. Rodell wrote a book called The Healthy Hunzas in 1948 that asserted that the Hunzas, noted for their longevity and many centenarians, were long-lived because they consumed healthy organic foods, such as dried apricots and almonds, and had plenty of fresh air and exercise. He often mentioned them in his Prevention magazine as exemplary of the benefits of leading a healthy lifestyle. Dr. John Clark stayed among the Hunza people for 20 months, and in his 1956 book Hunza Lost Kingdom of the Himalayas writes, "I wish also to express my regrets to those travelers whose impressions have been contradicted by my experience. On my first trip through Hunza, I acquired almost all the misconceptions they did, the healthy Hunzas, the Democrats." Regarding the misconception about Hunza people's health, Clark also writes that most of his patients had malaria, dysentery, worms, trachoma, and other health conditions easily diagnosed and quickly treated. In his first 2 trips, he treated 5,684 patients. The October 1953 issue of National Geographic had an article on the Hunza River Valley that inspired Carl Barks' story Tralala. A U.S. yoga instructor named Renee Taylor wrote several books in the 1960s treating the Hunza as a long-lived and peaceful people.